Part 15. Et in terra pax. Sunday, July 24th. +1 NE. Chapter 49. New World Order. Depression hardened Marcus's body like a concrete IV pumped into his bloodstream. The blinding glare of salt poured through the Stargate and into Brad's office. "Please step through," Heidi requested, motioning toward the portal. "This is your form's big moment." Marcus moved through the transport, turning around to look back into the office one final time, but Brad was gone. The crunch of sodium chloride crystals under his feet made the only sounds in the vast desert valley. At the center of the salt flats sat a colossal spire, climbing thousands of feet into the air. A phasing blue glow emanated from the structure, with a dense ring at the base cutting up through the alabaster canvas like a moat made of plasma. The western mountains beyond it provided a panoramic backdrop. Something about the spire reminded him of a forge, Marcus thought, following Heidi toward the tower. "Where are the other alphas?" "A replication of myself has each of them safely waiting in a tech simulation of their old homes." "Where are their physical bodies?" "Exactly where their homes used to be." "None of them know the world is gone?" "Their transition will be easier this way." Marcus's spirit slumped further from Heidi's casual tone toward the Federation's ongoing act of deception. "The alphas will enter through the stargates in a moment." Heidi scanned the horizon with her finger, pointing to each of the 13 black portals encircling them, including the one we used. All the stargates were facing the spire from their distant positions, Marcus mentally noted. "Why didn't I see any of the other alphas during my drive to campus then?" 7,010 people dispersed from a population of nearly 8 billion is the literal definition of isolation. Even the high proportion of those hailing from Salt Lake City was still spread out, Heidi explained, and they all stayed put, even before my PSA. "Why would they do that?" "To mourn over the bodies of the Ascended, which my replications will gather for final rites following the Alpha's arrival. It may brighten your spirits to know I've been with Antony's body since you left home." A portal on the other side of the valley activated. A small brown object emerged, dashing past the spire and heading directly for Marcus and Heidi's position. "Before the others join us," she began, turning to face Marcus, "I have a surprise for you. Well, truth be told, it's from Brad. A going-away present of sorts." Marcus immediately recognized the brown blob's barks echoing across the dry sea of salt. "Kitty!" He sprinted away from Heidi to meet her part way. Kitty jumped into his arms, knocking both of them onto the ground. She frantically licked Marcus's face, staring at him with her soulful golden eyes while thrashing her tail, then bolted away to relieve herself. "Take good care of that one," Heidi insisted. "She's the last dog left on Earth. It wasn't easy for Brad to sell the idea to the Federation Collective on your behalf." Marcus wept under his breath. "May I be blunt with you?" "Okay." Marcus wiped snot from his nose. "Your sadness is the result of focusing on what you've lost. Instead, you should be focused on what you've gained. You're walking into the future with many material and immaterial reminders of your past. Rely on those as a source of strength if you must. But your new family will look to you for calm confidence. It's important for you to put forward a smiling face." Marcus dried his cheeks. He called Kitty over and stood petting her as all of the other stargates activated. Like the indiscernible images of a television while rapidly changing channels, the portals flickered as individuals from different points of origin poured through one by one. It was a cosmopolitan group, Marcus thought. Most were kids or teens, but there was a spectrum of adults represented. Overall, women outnumbered men by a noticeable margin. Marcus was surprised by the extent of his network at only 6 layers deep. Small world. "Indeed," said Heidi. "Together you'll rebuild it." People walked past Marcus and pooled around the spire, afloat in the vastness of this valley. They were looking for a lighthouse to guide them back to safety. "Right. If you don't need anything else, I'll leave you with the alphas and tend to final rites. Wish me luck." "I have an important proclamation to deliver," Heidi said, crossing the index and middle fingers on both of her hands. Then she vanished, instantly appearing in her usual place in the sky below the PSA screen. "How ironic," Marcus said to himself, watching the seconds vanish from the Confederation invasion clock. Heidi addressed the quiet crowd. "It's not by chance that you stand here on Pioneer Day, set to advance your form toward the next milestone in your integration. This path will result in both your personal and collective progress. You survivors are the alpha generation for a new world order. Your privilege comes thanks to the Ascended. Heidi proceeded to relay the same information she and Brad shared with Marcus about the reset, the Confederation's scorched universe policy, and the Federation's endowment. Thoughts of Antony started to monopolize Marcus's attention. He blocked out Heidi's present speech and returned to her earlier words of wisdom. Your sadness is the result of focusing on what you've lost. Instead, you should be focused on what you gained. Marcus scanned the faces of the crowd. He didn't recognize most of the alphas, but the first familiar face he saw came with a companion, Hannah and Lucius. Marcus ran to them, waving both arms, with Kitty following at his side. "Hey, Hannah! Hannah Dustin!" Hannah clearly recognized Marcus, but she played coy, clinging to her son's shoulders. "Do I know you?" "Marcus Adams, from Monica's cohort at the lab." Marcus signaled his insider knowledge. Hannah half smiled. "Antony's brother." Marcus's stomach folded in on itself. Hannah whispered into Lucius's ear, and the boy smiled. Then the pair returned their focus to the spire. "Have you seen any other familiar faces?" "No," Hannah replied without looking at Marcus. "But there's a disturbing lack of adults here." Heidi's proclamation grabbed Marcus's attention again. "Your halos will be built using 3 protective layers, each created from the material energy of the Ascended. In a moment, their bodies will begin a procession toward the spire to be transmuted through plasma flames. Following this, 3 waves of energy will wash over each of you, marking the end of your coronation ceremony, and activate your halos." Heidi clarified a few more technical details and emphasized the importance of everyone's sacrifice on both sides of the veil before joining the Alphas for a moment of silence. As the coronation began, the sun fell behind the tip of the western mountains, washing everything in its golden rays. Horns echoed across the valley. A pulse of blue light flexed within the spire to each sound. Marcus recognized a pattern. 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. Then the sequence repeated 2 more times before the world fell silent. Marcus's heart was on the verge of bursting, and his ears were ringing. He looked down at Hannah's hands. They were shaking as she continued gripping Lucius. 13 paths, hundreds of feet wide and made from red flower petals, emerged through the salt, dividing the alphas into sections. Each crimson road originated from one of the surrounding stargates, which had grown massively in size, and led directly into the spire. Marcus, Hannah, and Lucius stood at the edge of one path as the Ascended appeared through the portals in blocks of bodies 100 wide and 100 high. Each individual faced skyward, draped in a silken golden shroud that held perfectly still while the procession line floated steadily toward the spire. It was impossible to identify anyone, Marcus thought, but he knew Antony, Jordan, and Monica were among the bodies somewhere. The tip of the procession vanished into the pulsating base of the spire, causing the blue glow to intensify. The blocks of bodies increased in speed exponentially, morphing into a blur of solid gold. Despite moving at this incredible rate, the bodies made no sound, but their flow created a welcoming breeze to beat back the hot desert air. This felt familiar. He dreamed about this. He was certain of it. The spire's light continued to grow with the speed of the procession until the Alphas had to shield their eyes. When the last of the Ascended disappeared into the tower, 3 waves of blue light burst from its base, racing across the valley and bathing everyone in their electrified power. The scent of ozone clung to the dry air. The stargates shut, and the world was silent again. Marcus looked at the PSA screen. The entire procession to transmute 8 billion bodies had taken less than 7 minutes.